What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Paul Talks Patriots. Big game over the weekend. As you know, the Super Bowl happened. The Chiefs got their second Super Bowl in 2 years, the first back-to-back Super Bowl champions since the Patriots repeated after in Super Bowl 38 and 39. So that was tough to see. I obviously was not rooting for Patrick Mahomes to win again, because who would in New England? Honestly, he really didn't play too well, I don't think. When it came down to it in the end of the game, yeah, he did. But for 3 quarters really there, he didn't do much. The difference in this game was the coaching. And I will say, to preface, there is a difference between a defensive game that's good and then just poor play. This was poor play from both sides for 3 quarters. Really wasn't too great of a defensive effort, I don't think. But to get back on track, the coaching, it was lopsided by a good amount in the Chiefs' favor. Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs, I mean, what a genius he showed to be during the Super Bowl. He was blitzing so heavy against the 49ers, and they just refused to have extra blockers to help Purdy and give him time. There were a couple of plays I noticed towards the end of the game where there were obvious blitzing situations, and there was no help for Purdy. Specifically, I believe it was the third down, right when the play when Purdy missed Jawan Jennings for that touchdown. He motioned CMC out of the backfield, and it was just an empty backfield. There was no help back there. You can't do that, obviously, unless you're getting the ball out fast, which they also just did a horrible job of doing. The Purdy was trying to throw downfield many times, and you can't do that. And speaking of Christian McCaffrey, he did not get used well in the second half. He got 7 carries in the third and fourth quarter, and then he ended up getting 6 carries in overtime, and you saw the difference there. The Niners started off their 3 first offensive drives in the second half were 3 and outs, and he only got 1 carry on those first 3 drives. You see where the math is going here? And then in overtime, he got 6 carries, and they drove down the field. Obviously, they couldn't score a touchdown. I would argue only because I think CMC got 1 catch after they got their last first down. And I don't know. I just think you got to feed your best player, and CMC's clearly your best player on offense. Another thing I did want to point out is that Kyle Shanahan is getting a lot of hate for deciding to receive the ball first in overtime. Whether he did it because he didn't know the rules or he did it because he felt that was the right decision, I agree with the decision. I think if you give the ball to the Chiefs, they go down and score, Purdy is going to be so nervous. I don't see them having any chance playing from behind in overtime against the Chiefs. I think it was a correct decision. You need to give Purdy a chance while it's a tie game, so he's more mentally focused on driving down the field, and he can still rely on his defense like he has for the past 2 years now, what he's used to doing. So I don't mind that decision. What is brutal is seeing all the Mahomes comparisons to Brady that I've been seeing. It was already a thing before the Super Bowl, and now it's like, oh, top two. And it's like people forget Joe Montana exists. Brady didn't even officially become the GOAT until I think after his Seahawks Super Bowl win, possibly even the Falcons Super Bowl win, which is just ridiculous to me how Mahomes, regardless of what he's done, yeah, he has 3 Super Bowls, he has 3 Super Bowl MVPs, but it's ridiculous how Tom Brady did all this stuff for 20 years, and Mahomes is already not even, what is he, like a year 7 or something, year 8, whatever it is, and he's already getting compared to the GOAT, and he has not even half the amount of Super Bowl wins. And the stats, if you look at the stats, I don't even know if he's on pace right now to match Brady if you give him the same amount of playoff games. But it's just crazy to me. And then you got Tony Romo after the game ends putting Mahomes and Michael Jordan in the same sentence. That was terrible. I don't want to give anything away from Mahomes or take anything away. Because he is clearly the best quarterback, but you can't put him ahead of Montana and Brady as far as greatness goes. Talent-wise, you want to make your argument, sure, go for it. Greatness, he's probably at 3 right now, but you can't put him ahead of Montana or Brady just yet. So I'm done with that. I don't want to talk about the Chiefs anymore. Let's move on to the Patriots. Jauan Jennings, to relate from the Super Bowl to the Patriots, Jauan Jennings is a free agent now for the Niners. They don't really have too many other free agents, crazy names, but Jauan Jennings is one that stuck out for me. He's their wide receiver 4, and no, he's not a wide receiver 1. Like, he's nothing crazy, but that could be someone that the Patriots target. He's going to get it like a relatively cheap deal, I believe, and he could be a good wide receiver 3 on a team. He's not going to make or break a team, but he would be a good role player, especially on a team like the Patriots, who, like, what weapons do you really have? So he could be someone of interest to me, but also I posted it earlier, who I really want to target this offseason is Brandon Ayuk. Now, Ayuk is going into his 5th year, his last year on his contract with the 49ers. They picked up his 5th-year option on his rookie deal, and he's due a little bit over $14 million. Well, the good thing about that is the Patriots have plenty of money to spend, so that's not a problem at all. He's also asking the 49ers for a new contract extension. He's probably going to get somewhere around the 22 mil per year mark. I'm actually going to look that up because I know Tyreek gets like $30 million a year. Tyreek 30. So if you give Ayuk about 22 or 23 mil a year, it puts him at 8th, right in front of Terry McLaurin, right below Deebo Samuel. I think that's a fair deal. DK Metcalf is sitting at 24 mil a year as far as cap hit goes. So, maybe you do need to pay him a little bit more than that. Either way, we have the money. Ayuk is worth it. He was second-team All-Pro this year. He's had back-to-back seasons of 1,000-yard receiving. And he's a clear number 1 in this league. His route running is top 5 easily in the league. You can argue for higher. But a situation I would say it's comparable to is a couple seasons ago when A.J. Brown got traded on draft night. I think it was 2022. The 2022 draft, yeah. He got traded from the Titans to the Eagles. And the Eagles sent a 3rd rounder and a 1st rounder of that year to the Titans in return for A.J. Brown. Their 1st rounder, however, was pick 18. And Brown had only been a one-time Pro Bowler, but it was really because he was dealing with poor quarterback play there in Tennessee. He was seen as a top 10 wide receiver, I would say, consensus-wise, at least top 10. So you're going to have to deal stuff around that. Ayuk is not going to be cheap because you need to expect to re-sign him to an extension. But definitely someone I could see them targeting. You're not trading the 3rd overall pick this year for him. That's crazy to me. Even if you thought about that for a second, it just doesn't make any sense. So if we trade, to compare to the AJ Brown trade, we could probably trade this year's third rounder and next year's first rounder, which hopefully is not going to be as high of a pick because we'll be more competitive. But even with that, if you can draft, I'm 99% sure we're drafting a quarterback now, third overall. I mean, every sign is pointing to it. Based on our coaching staff hires. Anyways, you're gonna get a quarterback in the first round. You can easily assume they're gonna get an offensive tackle in the second round, and then you're spending this year's third round draft pick on Brandon Ayuk, your wide receiver. So I think it makes a lot of sense to just at least call up San Francisco and say, hey, what do you want for this guy? And just see where the conversation goes. He's going to be worth whatever you got to trade in draft capital, and he's going to be worth the money you spend on him. The kid is really talented, and he's reliable too. He's, as far as I can remember, he doesn't have any major injury history. So definitely someone everyone should keep their eye on, and the Patriots should target this offseason. In other news, the Patriots made several more hires to their coaching staff. T.C. McCartney was hired last week as the new quarterback coach. He worked under Kyle Shanahan, the offensive guru, in San Francisco with the 49ers as an offensive assistant quality control coach there in 2017 and 2018. Before being hired by the Denver Broncos as their quarterback coach in 2019. That was Drew Lock's rookie season. You know how his career went in Denver, but it was his rookie year. He started the year on IR. Joe Flacco was their starting quarterback for a while, and he underperformed, and people thought he was washed up, honestly, while he was playing there. I don't think you can really attribute that to T.C. McCartney just because Joe Flacco is already, 34, 35 years old. You don't really have to develop that guy. You just tell him to go out there and do his thing. He got benched or cut, whatever. Brandon Allen started the next 3 games, and Brandon Allen is terrible. If you don't know who that is, it's okay because the guy's terrible. I don't even know if he's in the league anymore, but he was bad. And then Drew Lock came in as a rookie, and he performed well. I did look at the stats. I did not write them down, but they were good. And if you remember, Drew Lock, after his rookie season, was seen as he wasn't ever going to be a top 5 quarterback, but someone the Broncos could build around to contend at least. And then you saw his downfall after T.C. McCartney left as the quarterback's coach there. So he did help Drew Lock succeed in his rookie season when Lock came back. Following that, he worked with the Cleveland Browns for the last 4 years as both an offensive assistant and the last 2 years as their tight ends coach. He was just an assistant coach basically, but Gerard clearly liked this guy and thought he could help develop a quarterback for us like he did with Locke for his rookie season. So I don't know too much about McCartney, but I like the hire. It doesn't seem bad to me, at least. He's got promise. So we'll see where that goes. He's young still. Yeah, I like it. I like the hire. Next is Scott Peters, who Gerard Mayer also hired from the Cleveland Browns. Scott really doesn't have much experience coaching. He's been with Cleveland for the past 4 years, just like T.C. McCartney. But he did work under Bill Callahan. If you know the name, you know how well regarded of a coach he is. If you don't, he was the Raiders coach, I want to say probably 15, 18 years ago now. And also the University of Nebraska's head coach for a couple years. He spent time also with the Raiders as their offensive coordinator and the Dallas Cowboys as their offensive coordinator around 10 years ago. He was in Cleveland for a good amount, working as the offensive line coach there, and then left this offseason to go coach under his son, who just got hired as the Titans' new head coach, Brian Callahan. So Scott Peters has not too much experience coaching in the NFL as far as years go, but in that short amount of time, he has learned a lot, I'm sure, under Bill Callahan, who is one of the best position coaches in the league. Also, I'm sure you heard the news. Dont'a Hightower got hired as our new linebackers coach. I'm not going to tell you anything about Dont'a Hightower because I'm sure you all know I love the hire. Gerard Mayo, before he hired him, thought Hightower would make a great head coach, and now he gets his chance. This is his first job as a coach, so we'll see how it goes, but I love it. I'm excited to see him back with the team again. He's been one of my favorite players since we drafted him. I am hyped for that one. I love it. Tyquan Thornton, not Tyquan Thornton. I don't even want to talk about that guy. Tyquan Underwood got hired as our new wide receivers head coach. He used to play for us in like 2010, 2011, right around that time. Didn't do anything as a player. You might remember him, the guy with the flat top. Pretty sure he's still rocking it. You think he would maybe get rid of that look after a while? I guess not. Anyways, besides the point, he has been working at Pitt the past 2 years as their wide receivers coach and passing game coordinator. So he's making his way back to the NFL now as a coach. Should be interesting. Terrible player. Hopefully he's a good coach. We will find out. Next up was today. Taylor Embry got hired. He's got some pretty good coaching experience as far as the NFL goes. He's been around the league for I think like 5 or 6 years. He spent the past 2 seasons as the running back coach for the New York Jets. And then he also has experience a couple of years under Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco as a quality control coach. So, again, another guy that's worked for the 49ers, worked for Kyle Shanahan. There are several coaches on our staff now that have worked under that Shanahan-McVay offensive system that is taking over the league in the past couple of seasons. So, again, don't know too much about the guy, but seems like a good hire. We'll see how it goes. And then, finally, that's all of our coaching hires. I did want to mention Bill O'Brien got hired. If you didn't see, he got hired by Boston College as their new head coach. And he wants to hire, I believe it's our current tight ends coach as the offensive coordinator at BC. So we may have a new opening at tight ends coach. He's basically already been hired. It's Will Lawing is the current tight end coach for us. So that's going to be another position that's open. Outside of that, Troy Brown, it's looking like he's not going to come back anymore as a wide receivers coach for us. So that's another position coach that will be open on our team. Outside of that, I'm pretty sure everyone else has been hired. I know, I'm 99% sure, I should say, Hightower was the last guy to be hired on the defensive side. I'm not sure if there's other positions I'm missing on the offensive side, but you're going to get a new tight ends coach and probably a new wide receiver coach. We'll see where it goes from there. Lastly, I just want to say, if you haven't seen, Mac Jones is most likely to get traded this offseason. A bunch of reports came out about that a day or two ago, and I don't think this should be as a surprise to anyone. The kid, regardless of if you think we screwed him over or not, was becoming a cancer on our team, just really toxic. And again, it's like 99% of a thing that we're going to draft a quarterback third overall. And you can't have Mac Jones here with a new kid. It's not going to work well. Mac still wants to be a starter in this league, and it's not going to work well together. He's not going to help the kid develop. It would just be a bad situation. So, goodbye to Mac Jones. I wish you well. You did terrible here. Do I think we screwed you over? Probably, but yeah, it's time for you to go. So we'll see you later. Adding on to that, Jacoby Brissett. I didn't write this down, but it just dawned on me. Jacoby Brissett is a free agent this offseason. I think he would be a great guy to bring back in to help develop whoever our new quarterback is going to be. Obviously, Brissett was here with Jimmy Garoppolo and Tom Brady. What was that, 8 years ago now? And he is a career backup. He knows his role. He would help develop whoever our new quarterback is. And he knows the Patriot way, knows the system. I think that would be a great signing. But other than that, we'll save more of that debate for a later episode. I'm looking to talk about other free agents we can target soon. And until then, this is Paul talking Patriots. I'll catch you next episode. Peace, y'all.